Hola chicos! Today we are going to be learning about E to IE stem changing verbs in the present tense. First, let's review the parts of a verb. Verbs are divided into two parts, the ending and the stem. The endings for all verbs in Spanish are either AR, ER, or IR. For example, hablar is an AR verb, comer, an ER verb, and vivir, an IR verb. The stem is everything except the ending. So if you were to take off the endings, the stem is what remains. For hablar, this is habl, comer, com, and vivir, viv. So now that we remember the parts of our verbs, let's look into stem changing verbs. Stem changing verbs have the same endings as regular present tense verbs, plus a change of spelling within the stem. So these verbs, if they end in AR, will still have the endings o, as, a, amos, ais, an, ER, o, es, e, hemos, eis, en, or IR, o, es, e, imos, is, en, plus an extra spelling change. There are three types of stem changing verbs. Today we are just going to focus on E to IE stem changes within the verbs querer and preferir. These two verbs are what we are going to use as examples to learn E to IE stem changing verbs, and they are two verbs that you will need to know as they are what are focused on in your grammar packet and this unit. So E to IE stem changing verbs. The verbs preferir and querer have an E to IE stem change. This means that the underlined E in preferir and the underlined E in querer are both going to change to IE when conjugated. For example, yo prefiero. Without a stem change, this would be yo prefiero. The same with querer. Yo quiero is the yo form instead of yo quiero. So when do these verbs stem change? Verbs stem change for all subjects except nosotros and vosotros. This pattern looks like a boot when you look at it in the conjugation tables, and this can be very helpful for remembering when you need to stem change and when you need to not stem change. Please remember to use the appropriate endings for your verbs. For example, querer is an ER verb, so you need to use ER endings as well as pay attention to the stem change. So inside of the boot, we see the stem change in blue letters. Quiero, quieres, quiere, and quieren. Outside of the boot, there is no stem change for nosotros and vosotros, and we are left with queremos and queréis. For preferir, remember that this verb is an IR verb, so you do need to use IR verb endings and stem change within the boot. So just like querer, within the boot we see our stem change in blue lettering, and we have prefiero, prefieres, prefiere, and prefieren inside the boot with stem changes. Preferimos and preferís, nosotros and vosotros, are outside of the boot, and they are left without a stem change. So this is our introduction to E to IE stem changing verbs with a focus on querer and preferir. Hasta luego.